Hello everyone. Welcome to Confessions Jury, where people put themselves on the spot, waiting for your judgment. Sit comfortably and listen carefully, as you're about to hear today's cases. You hold the hammer and you apply the law. Let us have your verdict down in the comments section. As always, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Let's head on to our first case. Case 1. Am I the bad person for ruining my stepmom's baby shower for her? My dad and stepmom are expecting a baby together, and they had their baby shower last weekend. She's been my stepmom since I was 11 and I'm 15 now. They're really excited for the baby. I'm not. I don't hate that it's happening, but I don't care. I don't have a close relationship with her, so even though it's dad's baby, I don't see this as getting a sibling, but more like a kid will be in the house and making noise, and I'll be expected to help out. That's already been talked about. How they can't wait to see me with the baby, and how it'll be nice to have someone to help. I have a journal and I use it for therapy that I go to bi-weekly, and I use it sometimes to vent. I have some stuff in there about my feelings and lack of feelings on my dad having another kid and him having a kid with someone who isn't my mom. And how I don't really feel like I'm getting a sibling. My stepmom read some of my journal before the shower started. I had it hidden, but she snuck into my room while I was out with my grandma and she read it. Didn't find out until Thursday. But it put her in a bad mood for the shower. During the baby shower, they were going around recording people's messages to the baby. I hid while that was happening. I went to the bathroom and I stayed there for ages. I didn't want to record a message. My stepmom got the videos Wednesday and she watched them all. Then on Thursday she brought up the journal and the video messages in front of Dad. She started crying and saying she didn't know why I wasn't excited about the baby. She thought I'd love them already and want a sibling after being an only child this long. She said it shouldn't matter if I get a sibling from just my dad or both my parents because they're still a sibling. How she had dreamed of me being a protective big sister to her child. She said it hurt to realize I don't care about her or the baby and that I'm full indifferent. She also brought up the fact I vented about her taking down the photos of my mom from the family room. She said I should understand she wants this to be her home too, and living with the dead wife's face in a space she spends a lot of time isn't fun. Then she said me not sharing a loving message to my sibling during the shower broke her heart. She asked me why, but I was so pissed about her reading my journal that I didn't answer, and I told her she needed to stay away from my journal and it was none of her business what I write in there. She started crying and I told her I was telling my therapist what she did. I said sneaking into my room when everyone was busy or not in the house showed she can't ever be trusted. My dad told me I was going too far and I told him he was taking her side over mine and it made him a bad dad. I went to my room and texted my grandparents to ask if they could keep my journal at their house. My stepmom tried talking to me through the door and she said I ruined the baby shower for her. I ignored her and my grandparents came and took the journal to their house. Yesterday I told her she took my journal from me by making it not safe to keep it here, and I hoped she was happy. Dad told me to stop speaking to his wife like that, and he said I needed to apologize for it and for ruining the baby shower for her. He said we needed to come together as a family and stop acting like this. I said we're not a family and we never will be after this, and I said I didn't care if I ruined it. I said she spoiled her own baby shower when she snooped. My dad doesn't like that I won't apologize for that most of all. He said I should be able to understand why I need to. I told him his wife's feelings don't matter to me when she doesn't give a crap about my privacy. Am I the bad person? What do you guys think? Lay down your ruling in the comments section and let's move on to our next story. Case 2. Am I the bad person for walking out of my mom's wedding after what she said during the ceremony? This has been eating at me all week, so I need some outside perspective. I'm 20 and I have a really complicated relationship with my mom. She's 45. She's always been the type of person who knows exactly how to push your buttons. She'll say the most hurtful thing at the worst possible time, but then play it off like she was just being honest or joking. It's been like that my whole life. Anyway, she got remarried last weekend. Her first marriage was to my dad and they had me pretty young. My dad isn't really in my life much. He moved out of state when I was 10, and while we talk occasionally, it's still a really sore spot for me. My mom knows this. She's always known this. Fast forward to the wedding. She asked me to be her maid of honor, and I agreed because despite everything I wanted to be supportive. The ceremony was beautiful, and I was standing right next to her holding her bouquet. Then out of nowhere she leans over and whispers to me, "Isn't it sad your dad didn't even bother to come?" Guess we both know where you rank on his priority list. I was stunned. It felt like someone punched me in the stomach. I didn't say anything because what could I even say? I just stood there holding her flowers, trying not to cry in front of 100 people. As soon as the ceremony ended, I handed the bouquet back to her, walked straight out of the venue, and left. I didn't even go to the reception. I just couldn't. Now my phone is blowing up. My mom is furious, calling me selfish and saying I embarrassed her in front of her new husband and his family. She says I ruined her big day over something so small and that I should have just ignored it. A few relatives have sided with her, saying I should have sucked it up for her wedding and talked to her later. But to me it wasn't small. It felt like she deliberately chose that moment to hurt me, and I don't think I could have just stood there pretending everything was fine. Am I the bad person for walking out? Should I have stayed and dealt with it later? What do you guys think of this one? Let us know in the comments section, and let's move on to our next story. Case 3. Am I the bad person for wanting to be on my own if anything happens to my husband? I'm F, 32, and my husband M, 35, is suffering from end-stage kidney failure among a long list of other ailments. We have been married for about 10 plus years, and though we are trying to stay positive about things, there are still the talks. No couple wants to have, but are in the end necessary, unfortunately. Apparently, something my husband and many others are not too happy with is how I would plan to move on. As a female, I should supposedly want to try to remarry and try for kids again. However, as I told him and others, I just plan to live alone, as honestly I really don't like the idea of compromising or sharing with anyone aside from him. Maybe that makes me selfish, but honestly I feel society should just leave me alone, as I basically fulfilled my role as a woman. I married and attempted to have a family, so now I should have every right to say that should my husband pass I shouldn't be bothered. This bothers my husband, as he doesn't feel like that is moving on, and more like isolating. However, I try to remind him that besides him I barely like dealing with anyone if I can help it, and that I have lived on my own before. Biggest issue really is that people don't like taking no for an answer, and that should I lose him I would probably go through with the hysterectomy I had been wanting since I was a teenager. Thankfully, my husband is supportive in this, though we laugh and joke about haunting each other for company. Still others are not as happy, and are a bit more annoying, making me feel like an ass for not wanting to date or shack up with some random person. Maybe I was raised too much as a male, but I find that really annoying that people seem to associate female moving on to "you can't be alone." Maybe that is true for some people, but outside of my husband I have always been alone. There is no family, and very few friends that I associate with. I don't know, am I wrong for just wanting to live on my own if my husband does pass away? Can't wrap my head around that story. What do you think? Who is in the wrong there? Let us know down in the comments section, and let's move on to our last case. Case 4. Am I the bad person for naming my children after my honorary grandparents and not using a name from my husband's side? My husband and I became first-time parents to our twins in November. When we were trying, and it took a long time, 5 years, we had discussed what names we'd like. My husband had suggested a few times over the years that I should consider naming them after my surrogate grandparents. They were people who stepped in when I was a child and saved me from an abusive biological family. I credit my survival to them. I credit them for making me the woman I became. I lost them too soon. I was just 18. But what they left me with was everything. They left a young woman with love she never got from her biological family. Anyone who knows me knows about them and knows that I love them more than any person I'm actually related to. They know without my lovely granny and grandpop I'd be nothing more than a static like all the other kids who never get to grow up. My ILs knows. My husband has always know, and he wishes he could have met them. He said photos show the love we had for each other, but it wasn't enough. I never really knew whether using their names was the right move, but then I became pregnant after a struggle and we found out there was 2 of them, a boy and a girl later, and then it just made sense. My husband was totally on board. Like I said, it was his suggestion. We didn't announce the names until they were here. We didn't anticipate any problems. But my husband's parents are upset that we honored people in my life, but nobody in his family. They didn't. It was fair to have 2 and use one side. My husband told them their family doesn't have a lot of dead relatives he had a relationship with to want to honor, but I had 2 special people who don't get to be here. He's been defending me and our decision, and he has made it clear it was his suggestion and the move was fully supported by him. But still they complain, and it bothers me that our choices have caused so much family upset. I actually returned to therapy to help me cope with the new conflict, because conflict was bad in my biological family and I have some things I could work through. I question the decision a little now, and I wonder if we were unfair to my husband's family. Am I the bad person? You've sat down, you've listened. Now, it's time to state your ruling. What is it gonna be? Let us have it down in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe for more cases like these. In life, we may run, but we can never hide from true justice. Stay safe, everyone.